everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Chido and this is Chido Starts Up. Thank you so much for joining us. Please make sure to click the subscribe button at the bottom of this page. If you are joining us again, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be sharing my experience at the UN ECOSOC Youth Forum in 2019. I was so fortunate to attend this forum in person in New York in 2019, and I just want to share the experience and hopefully get someone else to apply and attend this conference in the future. So let's get right into it. So the UN ECOSOC Youth Forum is actually a platform that the United Nations creates every single year for young people to engage on Agenda 2030 on Sustainable Development Goals. In 2019, the SDGs that were under review were SDG 4, 8 and 10, 13, 16 and 17. So these SDGs were under review by the youth and also by the UN member states in order to assess the progress that has been made across the globe in terms of these sustainable goals. So how I actually got the UN ECOSOC Youth Forum is that I applied on one of my favorite websites, www.opportunitiesforafricans.com. This website lists opportunities that are available to Africans across the world. So I found this opportunity and I applied for it around December of the previous year. Around January, late January, early February, I got an email telling me that I'd been accepted and invited to attend the UN ECOSOC Youth Forum. So I was like, I have to go, I have to make a plan and go because I just really wanted an international experience. I was on my gap year at the time and I wasn't really committed to anything, so I was like, let me actually just go and use this time to, travel and explore. So I actually have a friend who currently stays in New York, and I sent her a message and I told her that I'd be attending the UN ECOSOC Youth Forum. And to my surprise, she was like, girl, I'm attending that same conference too. So it was just so amazing because I actually had a friend who would be attending this conference with me and we're going to experience this amazing opportunity together. So with the UN ECOSOC Youth Forum, they have a few events that occur a few days before in the lead up of the 2-day Youth Forum. So I planned my trip such that I'd be able to attend some of those lead up events because I just really wanted to optimize on this opportunity to network with as much people as I could and to just learn as much as I could as well. So I attended a few events, but one of the ones that I really enjoyed was the one held the day before the forum was officially meant to start. And this event was held at the UNICEF offices. It was again focusing on SDG 4, 8, 10, 13, 16 and 17. And what we did here is that we actually broke out into the different SDG groups in terms of which SDG you most recognize or which SDG you're currently working on in your country, or just which SDG you're most interested in. So I joined SDG 8 on decent work and economic growth, and I just loved that breakout room. It was just so amazing because we actually got young people from well-resourced economies and countries telling us about the work that they're doing, and we also had young people from countries that were not as resourced also sharing the work that they're doing, and everyone was doing amazing stuff. The great thing I also loved about that environment is that people were so willing to share like their step-by-step rules on how they were managing to engage with their governments, to partner with great and big institutions, to drive youth engagement and development. I actually got a chance to engage with one of my colleagues from Jamaica on how she had managed to get young people involved in farming and to get like the whole country's associations, taking young people seriously in terms of them being major stakeholders in farming and agriculture. And I just thought that was so amazing because in Africa and in Zimbabwe, agriculture is such a big sector. It is so important to our GDP. It contributes so much to it, and creating those networks across the world is always useful and just always great for learning purposes. After that breakout session, we actually all went for lunch, and I think we went to some burger place. I remember it was a burger place that I've never heard of before, but the burgers were pretty good. And again, we all got to now engage on a less formal platform. So we're talking about, what people have studied, what they're doing, their interests, why they are here. Some people were there because it was part of their summer vacation, or it was part of their coursework to actually attend such a conference. Some people again had just traveled. Some people actually lived in the city and they heard that there's this event happening and they were able to just tap into that event and tap into those networks. So you got people coming from a different range of of places, from institutions, from companies, from universities, and we just kind of all got to sit in the same room and just learn more about each other. After the lead-up events, we actually officially started the UN ECOSOC Youth Forum, and on the first day, my friend and I got there early because we were supposed to get our tags that would allow us access into the United Nations building for the 2-day youth forum. So when we got there, there were quite a lot of people, and we were all like talking and networking and just learning more about each other again. And then we actually started talking to a group of young Africans, and we're talking to them about the types of development projects happening in their countries, how they're getting involved, and just kind of again learning and familiarizing ourselves with other people who have an interest on the continent. And then a photographer came to us and said, "Hey, I'd really love to take a picture of you. Do you mind? I'll email it to you as well." And we're like, "No problem, take the picture." And he took this amazing picture, and I love this picture so much. I'll never forget it. I think it just represents so much about what I care about global development, continental development, youth development. I really value this picture, and I'm so glad that he spotted us and then he snapped that picture of us. Once we got into the youth forum, we got seated, and then we started the youth conference. And the youth conference actually involved a lot of sessions. Some were breakout sessions, panel discussions, plenaries, thematic discussions on specific topics. And my favorite session was the regional breakout session, and it was the Africa regional breakout session. That session was just full of life. You had this room packed with young, passionate Africans, policymakers, ministers. I actually managed to also meet and get a video of Kirsty Coventry, who is currently the Minister of Youth, Sport, Arts and Recreation in Zimbabwe, when she was sharing her piece on youth development, from her lens.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. And I'd like to start by saying, first off, I am still a youth. I'm proud to say that. Youngest minister in my cabinet at home. I was a former Olympic swimmer. And first and foremost, youth and being a part of the youth demography in Africa is my first priority. Being minister is a second one, as much as an honor it is. It's been interesting listening to the contributions made so far, and I think I agree with a few of the points. I think first off, if I listen to my two former minister colleagues here, in terms of mindset, I think we do have to change our mindset, but changing that mindset means we have to be proud to be African. And in saying that, it means we have to be proud of our heritage and our culture, and we have to stop looking and, we were having a discussion earlier of how we all in Zimbabwe will follow the Premier League in soccer. We love Man United, but we can't really support or talk about our local teams. So until we become proud of doing the simplest things like that, why do we continually look and worship the big Nike brands over our local producers? So we have to be proud to be African, and we have to make it, I think one of government's solutions to this is trying to come up with ways in which we can decentralize things within our countries and across the borders, so we're not just making it attractive for young people to come into the biggest cities, but we're making it attractive for communities to grow, and we're making it attractive for young people to come back and to give back into our continent and into our countries across the different sectors. And in terms of looking at refugees and internally displaced people, I think we have to use sport and technology and art and culture as a process for that. Whether it's people internally within our own countries or refugees that are moving countries, we have to figure out ways in which we can speak to one another. We might not speak the same language, but if we look at sport, music, art, just the culture of the being Ubuntu and that whole process, that's who we are as African. We are people who open our arms and we welcome and we talk and we move forward and we come up with solutions. And I think that first step is going to be critical in just making sure and re-engaging people to say, I'm proud to be from Africa, I'm proud to be Zimbabwean, and I want to make a difference and I want to make a change.
And yeah, that session was just so amazing. There were so many ideas coming out, so much rich discussion and contributions. I was actually sitting on the floor because the room was also packed, and I managed to sit right next to the projector. So I literally could see like everyone in the room. Another thing that I just loved about that session is that it just signified how important it is for us as Africans to come together and literally work together to build this continent, to develop this continent. I think when you heard the discussions that were happening in that room, you actually felt the fact that every single person just wants things to work. We all want opportunities, we want to lead, we want to share our culture, our heritage, our passions and our ideas with the world. And yeah, I just felt like the best way to do that is for us to all work together. But anyway, I can talk forever about Africa and its development. Let's go back to talking about the UN ECOSOC Youth Forum. So on the second day, we actually managed to hear from the UN Secretary General. He attended the conference and he shared some thoughts on youth engagement and youth development and just investing in young people and partnering with them to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. After the youth conference, I felt so empowered, so excited, so engaged to go back and develop my community, my country and my continent. I actually managed to stay in touch with a lot of people that I met at the UN ECOSOC Youth Conference. I still speak to them to this day and they're doing great work across the world. I also follow them and just keep tabs on what they're doing. And again, if ever I need to ask about another youth conference that's happening on another corner of the continent or the globe, or to just again understand how they're doing some other work that they've now grown to do, then I'm able to just contact them and speak to them. And that's just the beauty of creating global networks and just learning more about other people and how they're managing to do the same type of work that you want to do. So if you ever get an opportunity to attend any one of these conferences, whether they're in your city, your country, your continent, or even the global community, I really recommend that you do so. They open up your mind to just see the type of work that is happening across the world. They also extend your network and your exposure, which is so good. And they just allow you to become more of a global citizen, to just, work with the global context in mind. The world is so big and there's just so many opportunities for us everywhere. And engaging with people and getting your name out there is one of the best ways to do so. A few tips about attending these conferences: make sure you have a business card. Whether it's a physical business card or one of those like virtual business cards, make sure that you've created your business card before you go so that people can easily contact you or follow you, or you can just make sure that you don't ever lose contact with someone who you would have had a great discussion with. Make sure that you've also pre-planned the activities that you want to do. So at times you might want to engage in some sightseeing, or you might want to visit family or friends who stay in the city or the location where the conference is being held. But you also don't want to miss out on really important events that happen with the conference. As I said, with the UN ECOSOC Youth Forum, they have events leading up to the conference, which are really great events for you to engage with people on specific issues. These events are usually smaller and more intimate, so you get an opportunity to really speak to someone and have a more meaningful and longer discussion, rather than during the actual conference where there are about hundreds or thousands of people who just kind of want to make sure that they're getting the right information that they need and attending all the sessions so that they can make full use of the conference that they have chosen to attend. Another tip that I'd give you is to record what you can. So some conferences don't really allow you to record the proceedings, but if you can record maybe a conversation or a snippet, it's really good because it accompanies some work that you'll be doing in your journal if you're writing or if you're taking notes on your electronic device. This is useful because sometimes during a conference, there's just so much happening and you want to be present and be in the moment, but there's a lot of value that you can extract and take back to build on some of the projects that you're working on. So if you manage to get some video recording or some voice recordings that you can play back to yourself once you're back home and more settled, in your right working environment, that is so good for you to use to kickstart your brainstorming or kickstart further development in what you were doing in light of the conference or the event that you would have just attended. Another tip is that if you're going to these types of functions, give yourself a few targets. So it doesn't really make sense for you to go and hand out your business card to like 500 people, because then it becomes difficult for you to retain 500 relationships. But if you tell yourself that I want to go to this conference and I want to speak to at least, 4 new people and maybe make 2 good connections, people that I can actually add on my LinkedIn, email them from time to time and really learn about what they're doing because it's in line with what I'm doing. That is a really good strategy to do. So that's it for today on Chido Starts Up. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you have any questions or additional comments to leave us on the issue of attending conferences, please leave them in the comment section below. Like, share, and subscribe to Chido Starts Up. I'll see you next time.